This show is such a surprise because I'm with my friends. People who live in different cities, but we were together at some point when we were young. It's delightful because, we all had a different kind of an edgy energy at that time, and some of it we can connect back.
This particular period was a period where a lot of artists transitioned into something else. Like, who were the ones who really felt about painting and wanted to continue to paint? Who were the ones who wanted to break out? Photography was being seen in a new way.
In India, nobody thought of photography as an art form, so they didn't quite understand what I was trying to do, They only understood photography as advertising or editorial or something like that.
I knew that all these different things were around me. Vivan and Nalini, for example, were close friends, and they moved on to something else, and I wanted to continue to paint. So all these various interpersonal, inter-artistic stories were being fought out.
It was also the time of the emergency and, the fact that India might not anymore be a social democracy. It was 76, and you see the black and white film, there was a dystopia that set in. In fact, the title is a bit of tongue-in-cheek. This little girl who will never, ever have a place of her own to live.
There was a distinct change in the political scenario. Showing these particular works at this point has a larger meaning because what was then the majoritarianism that was there in the early 90s has now become center stage in India.
It was a difficult period of time. One of the earth-shaking events was the demolition of a 10th century mosque called Babri Mosque by frenzied crowds, ethnic riots all over the country, especially in the city of Bombay. I had come across a poem by Suryakant Tripathi Nirala, and I read something like Kaise soge is raat? How can you sleep tonight? It coincided with the kind of situation in my mind, kind of sleepless nights that one had.
And there were a lot of riots, communal violence, and as an artist, I felt that I needed to respond to that.
One of the things that can really resist that violence is our commitment to beauty and our commitment to certain kind of tenderness. For me, each eye is a person. I want to return the divinity and the beauty to every human being.
Being a painter, I felt that it was not adequate. I turned to cow dung. It is considered to be sacred. It is from the cow, which is considered a symbol of non-violence. It's a material handled by women predominantly. And so I felt that just picking up this material and working with it already put across a certain meaning to it. A lot of the works here dealt with violence, but it is quite abstracted.
I'm a pacifist, and I do not believe that arms and ammunition are going to solve any problems. Nuclear testing, the first one in '74 and then the later one in '98, both these were, in a sense, an anathema to the idea of non-violence. We are a civilized country, we are civilized people. People can talk to each other, not pick up arms and start killing each other.
One's initiation into art was, to some extent, a response to that unrest. And that is why my early works represent the working class in a certain way. One was drawn to the stories that these places and people had to tell, which were not being heard.
You couldn't mention gay in India, certainly not in polite company. I was interested in making photographic records of gay Indian men in India, and I discovered that actually nobody wanted to talk about being gay or about gays in general or about sexuality, and certainly nobody wanted to be in the pictures. And so stylistically I came up with this solution, which was to create a kind of mise-en-scène to use my informants as actors and to locate them in the real cruising places. So the key elements for me are that the guys are really gay, the guys are really Indian, the guys are in India doing gay things like cruising. And eventually this group of people agreed to be in the work, but never to be shown in India.
I'm very happy it's showing in Britain, because I think that there's a lot that is not known here of our past history, which is linked to the history of Britain as well.
To see my work in the Barbican, I do not know how it would be received, because I don't know how Indian art is received in the quote-unquote the Western world.
I've heard from people in London that they don't even know about the Radcliffe Line, and they don't know about partition and the kind of sufferance that took place. So I think it's a good thing to show it here, and I hope there'll be many more questions.